Thanks to those who are just joining us. If you have not yet introduced yourself in the chat, we would love to hear who you are, where you're joining us from today, maybe your organizational affiliation, or why are you joining us? What motivated you to come to the GRN relaunch? We're going to wait a moment while some others join. If you've already introduced yourself for the distance learning webinar, maybe worthwhile to drop your information again in the chat. And just quickly while we're waiting, I'll mention some webinar norms and rules. I think these are all just reminders for us at this point. If you could mute your microphone and turn off your camera when you are not talking, that would be wonderful. We appreciate that respect for everyone's bandwidth. Um, Feel free to post questions and comments in the chat whenever you like. Please do keep them on topic, but hopefully we will have moments throughout when we will go through. We will be monitoring that chat and either following up during this time or after the event. For your information, this webinar is being recorded. If you would like live closed captioning, it is available. You will see the button in your Google Meet menu bar there. Wonderful. Great to see some folks introducing themselves in the chat. Hi, Peggy. Great that you're here today. Thank you so much for your support. Hi, Abbas. Wonderful. Joining from Universal Learning Solutions. Great. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Caitlin. New to USAID. Great. Coming from WFP and excited to learn more about GRN. Great. Hi, Alan. Wonderful. Hi, Saima. Hi, Chris. Joining as a service provider for Bloom and Bloom Library. Great. Thanks for dropping your link. I'm looking forward to looking into that. Hi, Joni. Calling in from Nigeria. Wonderful. Here to support the relaunch to promote reading and foundational skills. Love to see that. Love to learn more about your motivations joining us here. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Rachel. So wonderful to see your name. Hi, Brenda, joining from Nairobi. Wonderful with RTI International. Sawadee again, Kirk. Hello. Hi, Melissa. Joining us early in the morning from Denver. Thanks so much. Hi, Stephanie. Great. Please do continue to say hello and to introduce yourself in the chat. I'm so grateful that you're all here. I am Natalie Brackett. I am the Learning Network lead for the Global Reading Network, and welcome to our relaunch event. Hopefully many of you were able to join the event just prior on COVID-19 distance learning. This particular event, however, focuses on the launch of one network, the Global Reading Network. Again, I'm Natalie Brackett. I am so grateful to be joined by my colleague Cynthia Coons, our Director of Network Development for the Leading Through Learning Global Platform. Before we get into the details of the platform, the network, I want to immediately share an opportunity for you to shape the Global Reading Network's work. As a member-driven network, the GRN exists for you to both benefit from and contribute to the network's efforts. In just a moment, we will share a link in the chat for you to jot ideas and to respond to a few relevant prompts. Feel free to add to this during the course of our time today or anytime after this event when you feel inspired or maybe after you have a chance to touch base with your team. We'll have dedicated time at the end of this session for questions, maybe start to talk and unpack some of these ideas together. Thanks, Shira. Glad we've got the link in the chat. If you're not familiar with Jamboards, let's quickly walk through how to use this tool to add your ideas. To use the Jamboard, open the link in a separate window. You'll see Shira just demonstrated that. You can toggle between frames by clicking on the arrows at the top of the screen. Each frame has a different guiding question. These are just some prompts to get us thinking more deeply about the literacy topics that we would like to cover as the Global Reading Network community. To add an idea to one of the frames, click on the sticky note icon on the left side of the menu. Type in your idea, then click Save. Then you can drag around your sticky note to the main part of the Jamboard frame. Maybe you have a comment on an idea someone else has. You can stick those stickies together. Always a great idea. Again, feel free to use this throughout the event today, just as a note-keeping space, or if you have a great idea you want to make sure to capture, we would love to see it there. Or you can add to this tool and we will help unpack this together, follow it up in future events perhaps, or other opportunities for engagement with this Global Reading Network community. So we have that link in the chat. And again, feel free to keep that open for your ideas. Looks like we might have some access issues. We'll try to follow those up individually if you're having trouble with that. Thank you so much, Shira, for sharing that again. Great. Well, thank you for that already, using your great minds for our shared work here. I'm going to actually hand over to my colleague Cynthia now to share more about the wider Leading Through Learning global platform, of which the Global Reading Network is a part.
Hi, everyone, and thanks so much, Natalie. I'm just going to provide a little bit of background and context for us. Initiated in 2020, Leading Through Learning is a global education learning system for USAID and its partners to enhance thought leadership and education program quality. This learning system includes 3 learning networks as well as regional hubs. The learning networks are focused on a particular technical area. 2 may already be familiar to you: the Education in Crisis and Conflict Network and the Global Reading Network. These are joined by a 3rd, the Higher Education Learning Network. Hubs are focused on a particular region and help localize the learning system. One hub is in Washington, D.C., another will be in Latin America, and the location of the 3rd hub is in development. Each learning network has chapters in each of the regional hubs. Guiding the networks and hubs are detailed terms of reference, and here are just a few highlights. What are they? These are facilitated groups of peers who document and share knowledge between USAID and implementing partners to enhance thought leadership and education program quality. But what does that mean specifically? Well, facilitated means that there is a team with a mandate and time to manage the operations of the networks and hubs. For example, the launches like this, the website design, communications, newsletters, recruitment, and activity management. Open rolling enrollment means that anyone can join any learning network or regional hub anytime, and it's free. Non-hierarchical means that there's no single network or hub leading the others. Collaboration is multi-directional across a flat structure, including all the networks and the regional hubs. Importantly, the networks and hubs create their own demand and supply of products and events. They are user-requested and user-created. Hubs and networks have, respectively, a steering group or a coordination committee that meet quarterly or biannually to write and then review and update the work plans. All of the work of the networks and hubs are aligned with the USAID education policy and strategy. I hope this gives you a clear understanding of the Leading Through Learning platform and maybe encourages you to join as a member, to serve on a steering group, or participate in the upcoming events and product co-creation. Back to you, Natalie.
Thanks so much, Cynthia. That's a great zoom out for us, and now we will zoom back in because as we are teasing, we are now relaunching the Global Reading Network, one of those 3 networks that Cynthia mentioned. I recognize that many of you may have engaged in the Global Reading Network previously. We are now going to take a quick 15-second poll to ask you about your last, we're going to take a quick 15 seconds to brainstorm in the chat together to ask about your past engagement with the Global Reading Network. Please add to the chat the answer to these questions. Of course, all of the above is an appropriate answer too. We want to know how you have engaged with the Global Reading Network in the past. Feel free to drop a 1 in the chat if you've received a newsletter, a 2 if you've uploaded resources to the website, a 3 if you have used the website to find resources or events or other great opportunities, a 4 if you have been a member of the steering group, and a 5 if you have participated in consultations or other ideation events. If there are other ways you've engaged with the GRN in the past, we would love to hear those too. Thanks for utilizing the chat for that now. Wow, seeing lots of engagement here. And so pleased to see multiple sets of numbers that folks were benefiting from a variety of functions. Wonderful. If anyone would like to come off mute to elaborate or share a fond story of Global Reading Network engagement, we would love to hear that. If not, we are really lucky to have a former steering group member with us today, Peggy Dubeck with RTI International. Thank you so much for joining us, Peggy, and we're going to hear from you about some more GRN history.
Thanks, Natalie. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining this relaunch event. I've been a GRN member since its inception way back in 2014 and on this steering committee since elections in late 2017. I'm really happy to provide some context about the network and the ways I've contributed to and benefited from membership, as well as what's ahead for the GRN. As mentioned, it was established in 2014 by USAID, and the Global Reading Network has brought together donors, practitioners, government officials, national and international civil society organizations, and other stakeholders committed to improving reading outcomes for children around the world. During this nearly 7-year period, we gained momentum and grew from approximately 750 to over 4,000 individual members who represented 773 organizations in over 100 countries. The GRN hosted webinars and trainings, created opportunities for members to learn about best practices and share lessons learned, and key resources to strengthen early grade reading outcomes. Additionally, we supported the development of knowledge products and other written resources to support early grade reading efforts globally, and the network also hosted interest groups on topics such as reading comprehension, nonfiction, and the book supply chain. Going forward, the GRN will continue to support efforts to improve learning outcomes that are rooted in evidence, leverage resources, build capacity of local organizations, and promote equity and inclusion. As part of leading through learning global platforms, the GRN will support the development of regional hubs through which members have the opportunity to access, build, and share knowledge to address local needs while at the same time benefiting from and contributing to a global community. In the future, the GRN will advance our shared objectives alongside the 2 other learning networks, the higher education and education in crisis conflict. The steering committee looks forward to continuing to build the GRN together and seeing where our member-driven organization takes the network next. So thanks so much for giving a chance, and nice to see all these familiar names popping up.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Peggy. Really grateful for some institutional knowledge there and some of the background about all the successes this network has already had. Really looking forward on building on those together. We heard from Peggy about some of those benefits and opportunities to contribute that the GRN will soon present. And I will highlight a few of those things that the network hopes to offer. Network membership offers you a platform to connect and collaborate with professionals across the globe, to participate in learning events on new tools and to gain professional development on emergent topics such as social and emotional learning. Network membership also provides the ability to co-create knowledge products like the USAID Literacy Landscape Analysis Toolkit or the Global Proficiency Framework as just a couple of examples. So those are some things the network is offering you. How can you engage? How can you give to this community? Right now, you can join the Leading Through Learning global platform and select the learning networks or regional hubs that you are interested in. You can register for events such as the COVID-19 webinars or the upcoming higher education community consultations. You can enroll in professional development courses. Some of those internal to USAID only courses, participants would register through USAID University. For external courses or events, participants can find events on EduLinks and then register using Eventbrite. And finally, another way to engage, you can co-create knowledge products or events by engaging in the current activities and by influencing the call for activities that will come in 2022. Those links, yes, are coming in the chat now. I'm actually going to hand back to Cynthia to speak a bit more about the 2021 and 2022 activities that I just mentioned.
In 2021, the Washington, D.C. Regional Hub gathered its members to propose priority activities to co-create with the networks and hubs during the fiscal year 2021 to 2022. These are referred to as the 14 round one activities, and you can see some of them listed on this slide. There we nope, next one, there we go. And these activities are now in development. I just want to highlight a few that may be of interest in particular to the literacy community of GRN. First, for all of the activities, there are scopes of work being published, so you can apply as a consultant or an institution to those. You can engage in stakeholder consultations to shape some of those products, including the revision or piloting or finalization of the literacy landscape analysis. You can provide support for piloting or translation of the various knowledge products, including the next stages of refining the global proficiency framework and supporting training and skill building. You can also share your own literacy resource with this community. As Peggy mentioned, we have a network of about 4,000 members, and we know that there are a lot of rich tools out there that can be shared across. So feel free to reach out and request to share your resource, best practice, or lesson learned with this broad network. This team can support you with a webinar, webcast, a consultation or training, or an other. Following this activity cycle of the round one activities, you can also engage in shaping, selecting, and designing the round two activities, which, as Natalie mentioned, will occur in 2022, likely around April and May. More details on that will be communicated soon. To ensure you don't miss out, please join the networks.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I hope that some of these activities are exciting as potential engagement opportunities for you. You'll certainly hear more about them. And of course, again, we are hoping for your guidance, your direction for the network, as this is a member-driven space. To kind of start to head towards closing out our time together, I do want to revisit that Jamboard and some of those ideas that you were inputting there that might influence our future conversations or future events or activities as a network. We have a few minutes here. If you haven't had a chance to add your ideas to the Jamboard yet, this would be a great time to do so. I'm gonna I wish I had wonderful elevator hold music for us, but I will let us think and open the Jamboard and maybe add individual inputs for about 30 seconds or so here. And then we will maybe take a look at it together and start to unpack some of these ideas. I see many more inputs coming into the Jamboard. Thank you all so much for reflecting on some of these maybe deeper, more detailed prompts around literacy and perhaps some of the challenges we're facing right now. Please keep adding your stickies there right now. Or if you are struck with, oh, I really wish I had brought that up during this conversation later today, this board will remain open. Feel free to add your notes. Maybe if you have a meeting tomorrow with your team and you have, oh, I remember this programmatic challenge we're having, and you'd like to add that here for the community's knowledge or reflections, that would be a great use of this as well. And again, we are hoping to use some of these ideas and topics to guide our future events, our future focus, and some of the opportunities for consultation and co-creation that we will have together as a network. I want to read a few of these since we have a few minutes. Thank you. I'm seeing some themes already in our first prompt about what topics the GRN could address that would relate to your experiences and challenge. I'm seeing some themes around catch-up and accelerated learning, really particularly fourth graders who need literacy to engage with other subject matter. That's really interesting, the impact on perhaps, literacy gaps on other skills development. As I mention any of these, if this is your sticky note and you would like to come off mute and elaborate or ask a question to this community now, start a conversation, please do. And of course, if you have questions in the chat, feel free to add them there too. I'm doing my best to look back and forth. Accommodating multiple languages in the classroom. Yes, I see these two stickies grouped together as well. I might change them to a common color together. In orange over here in the corner, we have issues of language instruction, especially in low resource classrooms. More attention to the connection between reading and writing, kind of following up a bit perhaps on how foundational skills development overall is impacted by the challenges in literacy. I'm going to click over quickly. This is a great slide that we're getting a lot of input on. I'm going to click over to our other prompts here. I'm going to look at the second frame around the context of COVID-19, those specific challenges, and perhaps subsectors of literacy that are kind of bubbling up as your priorities as a result. Seeing some great notes here about finding ways to give access to some kind of reading and learning opportunities to children who can neither get to school nor access internet-based learning. This is really interesting. This actually reminds me quite a bit of kind of some of the takeaways that we just learned in the distance learning webinar about the importance of print-based materials or getting something physical into the hand of learners. Really interesting. And again, if you would like to share more about this challenge or ask questions to this group, this is the group to do it. We are all here because we are passionate about finding solutions to challenges that we're facing, particularly around literacy and reading. How to harness the enhanced family and community engagement that was necessary during COVID for continuation after reopening. Wow, that's a really fabulous challenge, but also opportunity that you're highlighting there. Again, I would love to learn more about these. If anyone wants to elaborate in the chat or lend your voice as conversation, would love to hear from you. We have one more frame I'm going to click over about effective measurement of reading outcomes remotely during COVID-19. So kind of drilling down on one of the specific challenges. This has been the most challenging part, says one of the bigger stickies in this. I can imagine so, and I think that is certainly why we wanted to pose it as a prompt for you today. Imagine that everyone has had levels of challenge with this and perhaps successes. Please do share those as well. Remote formative literacy assessment is a challenge across digital platforms. And I'm seeing a note on that it would be great to have a repository of studies or results so that we can have some points of comparison. Wonderful, especially if we are able to measure sometime next year. Well, again, the timing is aligning with this community relaunching, coming back together. And these are the exact type of activities, opportunities, and direction that we are hoping you will bring to us as GRN members. Thank you all so much. And Charles, I'm seeing in the chat too that you're speaking about the challenge of infrastructure, lack of internet connection, electricity in remote communities. Simon, thank you so much for sharing a great resource for folks here. I'm really hoping we'll have a lot more opportunities for this bilateral sharing, posing our challenges and proposing solutions together. I believe we're close to the end of our time here. Yes, indeed we are. Please do continue to add to the Jamboard. I'm so looking forward to unpacking that a bit more. We do have time for general questions, whether about the GRN, about the Leading Through Learning Global platform, or about any of this great discussion we've already started. Again, feel free to raise your hand, come off mute, or use the chat for that. If we don't have any input from folks generally, I will again take the opportunity to pick your brain specifically. I would love to hear from you about what you would like our next event to focus on. Of these subsectors within reading and foundational skills that are emerging as priority areas, what would you like to focus on in perhaps our next GRN event? Feel free to use the Google poll function. It is the triangle, square, circle icon in the bottom right corner of your screen to vote on one of these topics for a future GRN event. And I'm seeing a really important question in the chat, kind of about functions, ways of working. Barbara is asking if we were GRN members before, are we still GRN members as it relaunches? I think in spirit and in community, of course you are. In actuality, to make sure you're still on the listservs and able to engage and receiving all the information about all the great stuff that our network will offer, as well as the other networks and hubs through the Leading Through Learning Global platform, please do sign up again. Make sure you use that link that we've shared in the chat to join today. We're still at the same website. You'll still be able to see some of the events there, but making sure you're a member kind of included in this new platform, it is important to fill out the form again. So thank you so much, Barbara, for highlighting that. Thanks, Jane, for supporting Charles and his concern about remote and rural communities. Absolutely. Yes, and thanks, Nina. Again, we do need you to sign up again. We don't want to lose you. Great, and thanks for those in the poll. I see some in the chat sharing some of the topics that are interesting to you. And I'm scrolling through my Google polls to see what our results are looking like. Quite a bit of interest in teaching at the right level, as well as in remediation versus accelerated education. These are all really helpful ideas. I have a couple votes for other. If you would like to share in the chat your other ideas for future events, that would be wonderful. Or again, use the Jamboard, speak your piece now, or send me an email if you have a very particular idea. Well, wonderful. We are just about at time. Sure, if we could click back to our next steps, our let's engage with each other slide. Thank you all again. We will be compiling some of the great links, information that we've had in the chat and in the conversation today, as well as the Jamboard, and have a follow-up email for you soon with those resources compiled. But in closing, I will emphasize again, please register, please use that form again to make sure you are and you remain a GRN member. Please bookmark the GRN website to stay tuned for future events and opportunities to engage. And thank you so much already for your inputs to this community and this conversation. I really look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.